Hello and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode of Law Hive powered by SZABIST podcast, where we discuss law, politics, policies, education, as well as current affairs. My name is Zainab Effendi-Haqqi, and I'm your host today. We have a very special guest among us who represents the University of London. University of London was founded by a royal charter in 1836. The university's prestige is known all over Pakistan as well as globally. Our guest today is Dean for Undergraduates Law, Ms. Patricia McKellar. Our discussion would center upon the new dynamics for law in the world of AI. And finally, keeping in mind the latest judgment by the Supreme Court from 2025. So let us begin. Welcome, Ms. Patricia McKellar.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for taking your time out today. Now, the first question that I'd like to ask you is, as a dean, you travel around the world, keeping in touch with all the recognized teaching centers. How do you find Pakistan different or similar among other countries?
Yes, you're right. As Dean, I do travel all over the world for this programme. You mentioned there that University of London had been going since the 1860s. I can tell you the University of London Law Programme has been going since the 1890s. So we're 125 years old.
Wow.
And we certainly have had the opportunity during that time to spread all over the world. We currently have 15,000 students worldwide, wow, which is a huge number.
Yes.
The students are based in countries all over the world. Obviously Pakistan, I'll talk about that in a minute, but Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, the Caribbean. We have students in Europe, we have students in the UK. So we cover a vast area in the globe, mainly in Commonwealth countries, as you can imagine, because right, that's where the English common law has its base. Right. Now, in Pakistan, we have almost half of our student base at the moment. So we have, wow, 6,500 students in Pakistan, which is a huge number. And it's a real testament there to the desire for knowledge which many of the students have here in Pakistan. And frankly, wherever I go in Pakistan, I meet these students and I meet students who really have a thirst for knowledge. They really want to know, they really want to understand, they really want to learn. And they have, many of them, and have a strong desire for justice. I was actually talking today to some of the students in SZABIST and asking them why they were doing their law degrees. And some of them had been saying that they'd been working, for instance, for non-government organisations, and they'd understood there were people who do not have a voice. Right. And they had felt because of that they want to study law, and to study law ultimately with the University of London through SZABIST. So that's always very gratifying when you hear that, and it certainly, it kind of reaffirms my view of the students in Pakistan, that they have this thirst for knowledge and they want to make things better.
Let's talk about recognized teaching centers. Given that SZABIST is actually the oldest institution in Karachi, we've been running our RTC since 2002 with a wide network of alumni by now. We've been here in the market for over 2 decades. How do you see our role as a significant one, given that distant learning is all about virtual learning environment, and University of London's website itself is very resourceful? How do you see our role as significant in today's age?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, that actually, because our model is very much teaching through teaching centres. Over 80% of our students attend teaching centres worldwide. And we have a network of teaching centres in the world, and SZABIST is a valued member of that teaching network. Now, in order to become a teaching centre, recognised teaching centre, it's a very formal and rigorous process, right, which the RTCs, I'll say RTC for recognised teaching centre, right, but the RTCs have to go through, and that process is updated annually. So the RTCs have to go through a process each year to confirm they remain on that, right, as that status. So it's not just a case of an institution just saying, oh, I think I'll be a University of London RTC and trotting along for that. It's, as I say, it's a very rigorous process which SZABIST will have had to have gone through. Now, the teaching centres are a kind of conduit from our point of view. The teaching centres are kind of, I suppose, there are representatives in the country and they are very much involved in the teaching of our programme. Now, we do have resources on the VLE,
Right.
huge resources on the VLE, which students can use. But what happens in the teaching centres is that, and this happens in ZABIST, is that there are lectures, there are seminars, there is face-to-face interaction, there are assignments, there are there's feedback, direct feedback given to students, and a lot of that all goes on within the teaching
The
centres.
co-curricular activities, especially,
And,
they add into the character building, confidence.
Exactly, that's right. There's and especially in a campus-based institution like ZABIST, there is there's a huge number of co-curricular activities that they can take part in. And as well in ZABIST as well, being a university which is multi-faculty.
Right.
It is a very much a kind of holistic experience that the students are taking part in here.
Exactly.
And that obviously is an attraction for certain students who want to have that ability to interact with others from different disciplines.
Oh, and I use that as an encouragement to inform our prospective students. You need to interact with multifaceted faculties and the students from therein, because from tomorrow and future, those are people who are going to be your clients.
That's true. That's absolutely true. But the other thing is, they also bring a different point of view.
Right.
One of the things that we always talk about with students is you have to question, to think, to analyse. And they'll be analysing in a particular point of view, but students from different disciplines bring different forms of analysis.
Exactly.
And I think that interaction can really help students to grow, which is really what we want the students to do. So I think that's important. But I also think one of the things which helps too is that our programme has the academic direction from the 6 University of London colleges, the 6 original law schools of the University of London, and those colleges are some of the highest, the university colleges in London. King's, exactly, UCL. That's right. UCL, LSE. There's the six law schools, but they are in their own right institutions, which are top-ranking institutions. Some of them are very top, both within UK and also globally. So that they kind of form the academic direction of the programme, and that's what we create, is that academic direction, those academic resources. But it's actually the RTCs who then are also reinforcing that with the students when they're in the classes with them. So it's a very important role, as I say, they play. They're a very kind of direct link with the student and a direct link with ourselves as well.
And the face-to-face interaction plays a huge role.
It does.
They can ask real-time questions and get real-time answers at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Which is important, because although you say University of London is a distance learning programme, while all the resources are there on what we call our virtual learning environment, and there's lots of resources there for students, there isn't much direct interaction with academics. Right. It is a distance learning programme.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day. So what the RTC adds is that kind of value added. That extra support, which is some students when they're getting to that stage of going to a university or doing their tertiary education, they want extra support, and that's what the RTC can very much provide.
And especially again the wide alumni network that we have in Pakistan, all over, in fact the world now.
Yeah.
Given that again. Yeah. We've been at it for the last 2 decades.
That's right. No, I think you're absolutely right. That global network of alumni now is extremely important for our students. We've been running alumni events here in Pakistan now for a few years. We've had a few recently, and they've been really, really well attended by the alumni, who are all delighted to get together, to network, to find out where they've come from. And in fact, we've had employers events also. Now we're running some employers events too. And I'm always amazed how many people from the employer events come along, and they're all from University of London, and all really, really delighted to kind of connect.
You'll see very eminent lawyers,
connect again,
partnership level.
Exactly, or working in the
politics, government,
and the prosecution service, everywhere. Judiciary, exactly. So we do have a very wide network within Pakistan, but also globally as well.
Right.
So it's that's if students do want to travel, and we do find that some students want to take a more international element to the studies, and we have within the programme modules which students can study if they want to take that pathway. So if they want to do public international law, for instance, or they want to do international protection of human rights.
Right.
There are those modules there if they want to follow a path like that. And we try to do that within the programme, is to create pathways which will help students if they have a particular direction, say for instance commercial law. You know, they could study the various corporate law modules that we have in the programme as well. So there's pathways to say that students can follow which will take them in particular directions.
Right. This brings me to, well, criminal law.
Yeah.
Criminal law. Given that Pakistan has its own law, but it dates back to pre-partition, you believe the criminal law being taught currently in University of London is going to be useful in our Pakistani courts as well?
Well, it's not, I would say it's not just criminal law. You know, all the private law, effectively, whether it's family law or public law, whatever, all the private law as such within a country is based, in the countries we operate, is based on the common law. It's based on the common law. So there will be differences, and I'm talking more generally now rather than Pakistan. There will be differences within the countries where we operate. And sometimes what has to happen is that students are sometimes given top-ups, or sometimes before they can get their professional qualification, they're required to do certain courses, certain modules in order to get their practicing certificate. And that is the same the world over, wherever we operate.
I believe it is relevant for the simple reason you're taught all the concepts.
Absolutely.
The concepts remain the same.
Yeah.
There may be different precedents, different laws or statutes, but the concept remains the same.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether you study national law or international law.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the new generation these days. Our new generation is largely dependent on AI tools. Now, as a seasoned academic, I'm very curious to know if you find them, the AI tools, as an aid or a potential disruptor for our future lawyers.
AI is pervading every area of our lives.
Right.
And you know, not least within education, and we are having to catch up, you know, in education as well, very, very quickly with the use of AI. What I would say is that there is the use of AI in education itself, which we have to deal with and we've had to incorporate. But there's also the element of our students are going to be going out into the world, and wherever they operate, they're going to be using AI. And we have to make sure that students, graduates, use AI in an ethical way.
Right.
And that they're able to use AI to its best potential. So we have within University of London, we have a number of resources which help students understand how to use AI, how to ask the right questions within an AI search engine, whatever it may be, or how to consider whether something is real, how to question it, or whether it's just a hallucination that they talk about within the AI large language models. So we do work with the students to ensure that they understand what AI is. Of course, we have to also consider AI use in education as well. And what we're doing just now is trying to create learning activities which help the students understand how AI is used. So, for instance, we're developing an AI activity at the moment where we've created a contract using AI.
Oh, okay.
And we're asking the students to critique that contract to see where they think that the AI perhaps has overstretched itself, hasn't used the right wording or whatever. And it's to let the students see that if you create something using AI, it will not necessarily be absolutely correct. And I think this is one of the difficulties. Students using AI think, oh, that's great. That's
yes, exactly.
This is what I'll just use now. You have to be able to filter the information which you get with AI. You have to be able to understand that it's not all exactly as it seems.
So according to you, it may carry some...
Oh, I think that it is, there's huge advantages in using AI. There are huge advantages within the world of work, within the world of science, and even just from your own personal use as well. People use AI for all sorts of things. But I think we have to understand how to use it, why we should use it, where we should use it, and what the drawbacks are. And as I said, ethically we have to understand how we're using AI. It's not for shortcuts. It should be to to assist us rather than taking over.
Exactly. I totally agree with that point of yours. Patricia, recently, Supreme Court of Pakistan passed a judgment that eliminated or set aside C law that was exclusively an additional test that was applicable to foreign graduates in Pakistan, apart from the law GAT. Other than that, the second thing that this judgment has done is reduce the duration of the national law curriculum from 5 years to 4 years. What is your perception of for the prospective students when they are deciding whether or not to opt for a foreign degree, distant learning, or to go for the national curriculum?
Yeah, well, clearly it is good news that C law has been removed as a requirement for foreign graduates. That's clearly that's clearly a benefit. Students still have to do the law GAT,
right?
Which all students do, or
all
graduates have to do that.
So all the students are at par now.
Absolutely, all the students are on a par. And that's something where we have been working on helping students with this as well. We have created fairly recently a micro-credential on preparing students for the law GAT. We've looked at the syllabus, we've had the syllabus approved, we've looked at creating activities, creating resources, and creating, as I say, a micro-credential, which is a short course, effectively. It's just a short course which students can do over 5 to 6 week period. They can study this course in their own time, at their own stage, and sit an assessment at the end. The assessment will be the same format of questions as the students would get in the law GAT. So it gives them good practice in answering the questions which they would get in the exam. Now, it's not an exemption or anything like that. You still have to do the law GAT.
But this would be really
it's good preparation.
Yes.
That's right. And this will be available for University of London students at any point in their degree. So they can decide when they want to do it, and we will be able to, as a micro-credential, if they wish, they'll be able to get a certificate to say that they've completed that course. So that's something which is coming on stream hopefully before Christmas this year. I'm expecting it. We're expecting to do a launch of the course in November this year, and there will be various points in the year where the assessment will occur. I think it's 3 points of assessment. So the students can study the module at any time.
Right before it.
Absolutely.
During, that's
exactly.
Wonderful.
That's right. They can study it at any time, and then we'll do their assessments at certain points in the year, and they can get a certificate if they wish to proceed towards certification of the course as well. So I think that's something which will really help the students as they're preparing for the law GAT. So although the students don't have the C law, they still have the law GAT, and hopefully we're helping to prepare them for that.
That's nice. I just want to clarify at this point
for
everyone watching.
Yes.
The certificate they would get from their assessment for the law GAT would not be equivalent to
and that's
the actual law GAT.
You're absolutely right, and I think it's a really important point to make, and that's what I was saying. It's not an exemption. This is purely a preparation course. That's what it is. Now, as I say, you may not want a certificate at the end of the day for that. You might not want it because it is just a preparation, but it is there as a support for students who want to be taking the exam, and hopefully it will help them. And as I say, they can do it at any time.
That's wonderful news. But Patricia, before this law GAT, you've already introduced a couple of other micro-credentials. Could you please talk about that?
Yes, this is something which we've been working on, and we're continuing to work on, and will do over the next few years. We recognise that our programme is quite an academic programme, and I think you'll probably agree with that. It's the professional skills which a lawyer will require to have before they get into practice are not necessarily covered in as much detail. We do a lot of skills training within the programme, things like critical thinking skills of analysis, application, evaluation, judgment. These are all skills which students will acquire as they go through. More kind of personal transferable skills, which will be really useful for a student, whatever career they will go into. But professional legal skills are very specific, as you know. And
they would certainly be value addition.
And absolutely, I think it will be certainly very useful for students. But what we've done is we're creating a suite of micro-credentials.
Okay.
And these micro-credentials will cover professional legal skills. So the first we've done is mediation skills, and that one will also, although that module is already, that course is already on the VLE just now for students if they wish to do it. We're launching it formally in October with the other Law Gap modules. So that will be the 2 modules there, and that one will be certificated as well.
Okay, so I do have a question over here. It's going to be certificated, but so there's another thing called international accreditation for mediation. So that's a 40-hour.
That's right.
Very
slightly
different.
No, that is different. You're right. That's that's different. This is it's a certificate from the University of London. Basically, say you've done our micro credential in mediation skills.
That's wonderful.
And of course, we do have a module on alternative dispute resolution. So if students want to do mediation in more detail, they want to look at alternative disputes.
Because lately the judiciary is moving towards ADR.
Exactly.
Because the backlog of cases is tremendous, and mediation would certainly be a tool that's going to be useful in order to,
help that. Exactly. No, you're absolutely right, and it's one of the things which we've been asked for in Pakistan is to introduce the ADR module, and we did mediation skills first to kind of give students some introduction. But the actual module itself, the ADR module, has been launched this year. So students it's level 6 modules. So students in their final year can study that module if they wish. And again, it's very much, as you say, it's very much because there is that backlog, there is that bottleneck of cases, which they just can't get through.
And justice delayed is justice denied.
Exactly. So this is a way of hopefully ameliorating that. So that MAT module's there too. But as I say, these professional legal skill micro-credentials, the next one I think we're going to be doing is client interviewing. That's one we'll be doing, and also hopefully we have presentation skills on, but we'll hopefully do a bit more about advocacy skills in a formal module as well. So these micro-credentials I think will really go some way to building up the professional legal skills of our students, and they can do these as they go through the programme, so that when they're finished, they will be able to have a suite themselves, a collection of certificates which shows that they have practiced these skills on their programme.
Now, I know a lot of people would be curious at this point, so I do have to ask, these are going to be free of cost?
Yes, that is interesting. The micro-credentials will be free. Now, in order to sit the assessment, because there is assessment, I think there's a small cost for that. Because we have to pay for the way that it's an online assessment. We have to pay for every student who sits. There's a small amount they have to pay for that. But the actual course itself, the students can do for nothing. But if they want to do the assessment and get the certificate at the end, there is a small payment.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, and I don't think it's not going to be onerous. Don't. No, it will not be onerous at all. It's just a small payment just to cover our costs.
That I think everybody needs to be very grateful to University of London for thinking beyond the box, and how they can enhance the academic as well as the professional skills.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's talk about COVID.
Oh yes.
COVID changed the world. COVID compelled everyone to come out of their comfort zone, the regular routines that were known to mankind altogether. We had to transition from our conventional methods to a new territory altogether. We witnessed University of London going through that transitional phase as well, especially as far as the assessments were concerned. Where do you see this ending up, or do you think we're going to have new methods of assessments? This year we had the closed book exam. Before we used to have handwritten exams. It's no longer handwritten. Everything has to be on the desktop or the laptop. It's now closed book. We're entering into a phase of MCQs as well. Where do you see us going forward from here?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. COVID was a game changer in terms of education. It catapulted education into the kind of IT age in a way that we'd been kind of going at a snail's pace almost before that.
Very orthodox approach all over.
And then suddenly everybody was thrown into this, and us included. Us included, we had to move more quickly as well. And I remember when COVID started, we began to really pump out online resources in a way which we hadn't previously. We just really had, because we knew that students were not getting the same support from RTCs. We knew that it was going to be difficult for RTCs to have face-to-face contact. So we pumped out a lot of resources, created a lot of resources at that time as well. But it was really interesting to see how the RTCs adapted as well, because RTCs like SZABIST and others as well, they all had to realise we don't have students here in class, on campus, watching what they do, listening to what we're saying. We have to adapt as well. So there was a huge step change, I think, at that point, which we all accept. We all accept that occurred. And it's the toothpaste is not going back in the tube now. The genie's out of the bottle.
It's changed now.
That's us. We cannot go backwards. And we have changed in terms of our resources. That previously we used to give out hard copy guides,
copies, right?
And now we have all the resources are all online.
Yeah.
And it's all very accessible now for students online. And it's quite interesting, that change which students have gone through, because initially students were a little bit resistant. Oh, we trusted the book. We always wanted the hard copy. That's what we wanted. Now we've got the last few modules now are being transferred online. And we get students now complaining when they get a book because they want all the resources online. They want everything there.
It's so compact now.
It is. And they can access it anywhere they like. And also we can give them more rich resources. We can give them learning activities.
And more current.
Yeah, exactly.
We
can update,
resources.
Absolutely, much more dynamic.
To use the right word, it did catapulted everything.
Yeah.
It just pushed everyone in that IT direction.
Yeah.
Whether we liked it or not, we had to accept
it. Absolutely. So we've created more, as I say, online learning resources, much more interactivity for the students. Even if it's online interactivity, it's all there now, which you couldn't do that with hard copy resources.
Right.
And we're improving that all the time in everything we do. Everything when we go forward, we're creating more and more rich and sophisticated resources for students. So that's one thing that we're doing. But of course, as you say, within the RTCs as well, there's this kind of it's kind of hybrid learning now, isn't it? The students they're coming to class, but you're also giving them resources online as well. So there's lots there for students to be able to engage with. I think that's a good word there, actually, because you have to get the students to engage with these resources, and it's making them attractive, interesting, and getting the students to want to use those resources is a skill in itself, and something which, as I say, we're all getting better and better at. So that, in terms of the resources, that's one way we've had to move forward. But you're right, in terms of assessment, we've also had to move forward as well. And, obviously previously we had, handwritten exams in exam centres. COVID had the disruptive effect of open book exams at home, and we've had to change to come back to
domino effect there.
It was, exactly, and now it's kind of coming back again. We're back in exam centres where we were before. We're now back with this year with closed book exams. But what I will say is we have changed, because you'll be aware that that assignments are part of some programs.
Right. I wanted to come to that.
Yeah, and we don't have assignments. We don't. Well, all our assessments are done by way of end of year assessment in some form or another, and of course, that's in compliance with a press release which came out from the Law Minister this year, indicating that assignment-based degrees would not be acceptable now. And now, of course, we comply with that. We don't have assignments within our programme. And actually, we've never had assignments within the UG Laws programme. It's always been end of year exams, so we comply with that, and also and
I think that's what's maintained your standard and integrity of this program at the University of London.
Yeah, I mean, that is it. It's a very rigorous assessment method, which is recognised by employers. That they know, many of them have gone through the programme themselves. So I think they will welcome the fact that we're back to closed book. We're back in a regime which everyone understands, but. What we do to assist students, and also because some students do learn in different ways, and sometimes end of year exam is not the sole kind of focus of everything, and some students perhaps want to do a little bit more in-depth research. So what we do provide in certainly all the main modules, and we're expanding it out, is what we call scene elements. So we give the students some advance notice of resources which we want them to really study. So for instance, in the early days, they might get a case report which they've got to look at and got in detail, and then they'll be asked unseen questions in the exam,
Right.
which will give up quite a rigorous investigation into the case itself. But the student will really have read that case, they'll have read round it, they'll have read other cases, they'll really have an in-depth knowledge of it. And we do that with other modules as well, where we give students perhaps a set of resources.
Right.
In EU law, we give them a whole lot of treaties and articles which they have to look at and really understand, and then we'll give them questions in the exam
Pertaining
on
to
those
it.
specific ones. But the students have had a really good look at them beforehand, and are able to really understand and
But
analyse
that's still part
it.
of the assessment.
Still part of the assessment, and it allows them to have that in-depth knowledge before they go into the exam, but they don't know the question.
Right.
So they've got to be able to apply the knowledge, and that's again one of those skills I was talking about
Analytical
earlier.
skills.
Exactly. They have to be able to apply. It's not good enough just to come into an exam and write out everything you know.
Right.
It's not good enough to do that. Certainly not for
I
University
remember
of London.
even as a student, we were always discouraged from rote learning.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, and that's what I always preferred about University of
Yeah.
London, because it encourages you to apply your analysis
Absolutely.
and then write whatever you understand,
Yeah.
and it's going to be marked accordingly.
Yeah.
This is what I really appreciate about University of London.
Yeah, yeah. So, so that's one way we've changed the exam system. We've also changed now. We're going to have a kind of pre-exam, if you want to call it that, for just in level 4, which is the first year, effectively, the first year. And the students, part of the exam now will be multiple choice questions. We actually introduced it in one module this year,
Right.
but we'll be rolling it out in those modules at level 4, really to make sure that students understand that they have to have a really good grounding in the topic, very specific, but it gives them that opportunity to do that within the MCQs.
Wow, that's amazing, Patricia. Before we call it an end, I would like to ask, Karachi has a huge network of alumni over here. You recently held an event for all the alumni, I believe, in Islamabad. Can we expect something like that in Karachi?
Yeah, the alumni department is a department of the University of London, so not the law department. We have a separate alumni department. So I don't want to speak for them, but what I will certainly do when I go back is I will say to them, the alumni in Karachi would like to have an event.
Yes,
And,
exclusively for Karachi.
Exactly, exclusively for Karachi. And as you say, there's a lot of alumni in Karachi as well, so it would be good. No, I'll certainly take that back, and hopefully another time when I come here to Karachi, we can have an alumni event, which would be wonderful.
That sounds amazing. Any advice you would like to give our current students as well as prospective students?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the key things I say to students, when they're studying our program is to read widely. Many students will just confine themselves to what is perhaps within the VLE, perhaps within their lectures, and they don't go beyond that. They don't do that kind of wider reading. And students often say, how do I improve my answer from being a 2-2 to a 2-1, from a 2-1 to a first? If you want to improve your answers, you need to read more widely, so that you've got that kind of analysis that you can draw on to put into your answers. And I think that's one of the most important things to do for students is just that, and also to question what you're learning all the time, and that will help again for you in your kind of critical analysis and your critical awareness of the subjects that you're studying.
Wow. Thank you so much, Patricia, for your time. Well, there you have it, everyone. I hope today's information you learned from Ms. Patricia McKellar was valuable. I certainly had a great time, and I hope you had too. Take care, everyone. Hafiz.